got Laurieann Gibson in the building. Choreographer, actress, producer, author. I mean, this lady is something so special.
It's crazy, man. I told her, we rode up together, and I was just telling her, I was like, holy shit, I didn't know you were a fly girl. And it's like, dude, her history.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. And the tentacles of people she's been involved with and created with and curated, it's bananas. So I can't wait, me being such a fan of dance and theater.
Oh, I saw you. You're like Bob Fosse.
Yeah? Yeah. Yo, I'm not really a big dance fan, but I do fuck with Bob Fosse.
Who doesn't?
Bob Fosse was an amazing, amazing filmmaker, man.
Fucking brilliant.
Star 80 was genius. All That Jazz was genius. The Lenny movie he made was genius. He's great.
He's the originator of Spirit Fingers, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah. He's definitely
Bob Fosse. Oh yeah. He was always like that. But he would do the best is Roy Scheider from Jaws.
Bobby Jazz
played him in All That Jazz.
Yeah,
and he would just like fucking swallow all these benzos, all these pills, and they was looking very big. Showtime, right? Wouldn't he say it's Showtime?
It's Showtime.
It's Showtime.
Yeah, so sick. So we got Laurieann. That's gonna be dope. And then we got one of our homies, Bek Lovers, in town. And, I think every time...
New York.
Mr. New York.
He's like the unofficial king of Albanian nightlife.
Yes.
But he's just got crazy, controversial point of views on shit. So I'm like, bro, why don't we do like little 10-minute segments with Bek Lover,
Why not?
Considering he said that like basically his own podcast created so much upheaval. I was like, great, come in and mix up ours. And let's see what the fuck you got to say about
hopefully we won't
something.
get canceled.
I don't know what he's going to talk about. Let's just hear him out and let's hear him rant.
Yes,
so let's get at it, man. You know what I'm saying?
Welcome to the Cray.
Cray Cray. What's happening is we're always shooting at the Cray, and Shawn is simultaneously editing at the Cray.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what's going on. It's like
it's a collage.
Yeah.
It's true to an extent.
I think like 10 times an episode, like me and O'Neal will like look at him and he'll just be like, it won't be in there.
Yeah. I love what he do. He's like, none of that will be in there.
Yeah.
Why? Break that down to me. What are you responsible for protecting?
Well, he's got to protect my fucking career.
Exactly. Yeah.
But listen,
and I
by the way,
understand that, but
listen, I'll be honest with you. I'm not even crazy about protecting my own career in a weird way. I'm like, fuck you, like the cancel culture. But I am protective over the fact I got to raise a 5-year-old kid, and I just don't want to do it broke. You know what I mean?
Always protect
but
that.
you know
yeah,
what?
like I got schools to pay for. I got his mom to like.
Right. Check 1, 2, 3, 4. I love a fuzzy. I love a big fuzzy zhuzh. Can you hear me, Daddy?
They're
Yeah,
giving thumbs ups.
I gotta tell you, it's kind of fire, man. I don't even know what any of it means, but I started sweating again.
I know you started blushing. Your cheeks got rosy. Your cheeks got rosy, right?
Well, you know what it is? It's like
rosy cheeks,
my love language is sound.
Oh.
No, it's not really. Okay, I guess it's.
But you're in.
Actually, my love language is gifts, but that's just me.
I love sound.
But listen,
no, you have an amazing voice.
The sound you make when you.
Oh no, Laurieann has
like that
best.
voice just now is like
soothing.
There was I just kind of like part of my body
edgy.
just went like it just kind of gave in.
Yeah.
I let go. Yeah. And
it is distinct.
I bought the ticket and took the ride.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, I like it, man.
I do too.
They don't need us.
We gotta have Laurieann do all our voiceover work for all our ads. We gotta have Laurieann just.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you guys go get milkshakes or something.
We'll be back next episode.
Nice.
Give me a
Keep
coffee,
rolling though.
But we got Laurieann.
Keep rolling.
Gibson.
So I met Laurieann at your and Russell the Gush Cloud dinner.
Yep. I met Laurieann in 1996.
Ooh, we sure did.
Yeah, 1996. I met Laurieann. A lot of people may not know this, and as Shawn would say, we can edit this out. When I met Laurieann, she was dating my cousin Andre Harrell.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and
why would you edit that?
Exactly.
She might want
why would you?
Rest in peace,
some
man.
People are private. You know what I mean?
For her benefit,
for her benefit.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? But when I met Laurieann, it was my first time in the Hamptons. I never forget. Laurieann was coming down the stairs. She had on this Lacoste little tennis outfit,
right?
and like these little canvas sneakers, and she had like this little short haircut, like kind of like I call it the Holly Berry style.
Was it September?
I don't know.
No, I think it was August.
I didn't know if I thought maybe she was repping for the U.S. Open or something.
I mean, maybe. But we were in the Hamptons, and I never forget. She came down the stairs, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, she is so fucking cute."
Yeah.
And she just was edgy, and I remember after I moved to New York, and Andre was like, he kind of like sent me around the circle of people to intern for, to be around.
Right.
And big shout out to Jason Weaver. I remember going to that dance studio with Laurieann and Jason Weaver, and it was me, Jason Weaver, Punch, and Goof.
Right.
And Laurieann made us run up and down the stairs. And I remember her saying, "If you want it, it's not free." And I was like,
yeah, I love that.
Yeah, she was like, "If you want it, it's not free." And I was like, "Oh my God, this bitch is crazy." You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's inspiring, man. That's like
loved it.
Strong voice, man.
Yeah.
Pushing.
No, Laurieann.
That's the way I feel like my teachers were when I was at the Edge dance studio and I was taking my hip hop class.
Excuse me.
They would always.
Please.
I'm kidding. I'm joking.
No, that you're not editing it.
I was like,
the
what
Edge.
No,
first of all, what do you know about the Edge?
Well,
and second
I had
of all,
an ex-girlfriend.
You must have dated some girl
I used to
from the
drop-
Edge.
Yeah.
Of course you did.
That's what it was.
I saw the whole thing flashing.
No,
in front
like
of my
I
face.
was like when I was young, I felt like I could dance a little bit, like I could move a little bit, but I think it was based in like cocktail consumption. You know what I mean? It was like that's
the
where
more you
like
drank, the more
yes,
you
the
got
more
loose.
loose I got. But then you cross over the line of drinking too much. And then you're just a little too loose, and you kind of matrixy, where you fall over and shit.
Where your muscles have no real control.
That's never a good look. That's never a good look. But I mean, so going back to the beginning,
there is that magical place where
It's
if
the
you
sweet
can
spot.
do it,
I mean,
the
I'm kidding about the
sweet
matrix
spot
shit.
is the reality, and
But
that's
no,
where
I could really
live,
dance
Rob.
a little bit.
Exactly.
Like I think if I learned, like if I were to get together with you,
yes.
somewhere quiet with music, and you know what I mean.
I'm sure a lot of things
the right
happen
kind of
around.
lighting and vibe. No, but I do think like if somebody took 10 minutes to teach me something, I could dance.
Totally take 10 minutes to teach you not only
Thank you. Thanks.
your dance.
Yes. But the dance of what? Of
the dance of life.
Everything's got really awkwardly quiet.
I know.
I'm like, you two you two guys. Jesus.
There is an interesting spark going across. It's like, oh, great, there we go.
Yo,
I don't usually make
love a
inappropriate
white boy.
comments. I was
People
making a
don't
joke,
know
but
that
I'm like,
about
so
me.
many.
I don't remember the last time I saw Rob sweating like this.
Yeah, I know. So many.
No,
girls,
it's hot. It's hot in
So
here.
many girls DM me and it was like, "Yo, what's up with Rob Weiss?" I'm like,
No.
What? That's my brother. You know?
He can't believe that women are attracted to me. Basically, it's what he said last week. If somebody said, "Oh, he's sexy," and he goes, "Rob Weiss is sexy." And it's like,
He's
it's
totally
a good thing
sexy.
you don't find me
It's that
sexy.
one sleeve.
Because we would have like a weird relationship.
We have a weird relationship. This
Yeah.
interview.
Yeah, I'm not. By the way, I don't have a
It's the
problem with
mouth.
men
Oh,
finding
no,
me sexy,
no.
but
I
you
was at Zara the
we
other-
have a different kind of rapport.
No, I was at Zara.
I just don't want it to go to that place, you know.
Exactly. I was at Zara the
I
other
didn't
day
know
and I
you were
walked
this
down.
funny.
No, he's hilarious. I was
Oh
at
my
Zara the other
God.
day and I had on this sweatsuit and I came
Genius.
out and I was looking at myself and this guy stepped up and he said, "Oh my God, you're gorgeous." And I was like,
Right.
Yeah.
"Thanks."
Comfortable with
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
You
See,
have
I'd
to be
hug him,
comfortable
man.
with
I'd be
it.
like, yo.
Rob would be like, oh, really?
Well, here's the kickball change.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's the kickball change. Are
Yeah.
you going to be comfortable with it, or are you going to let other people define?
That's true.
Of course.
anything?
Right, definitely.
Meaning,
yeah.
you should absolutely be comfortable.
Totally.
If you're a fine motherfucker.
Of course, yeah.
Even
Yeah.
if your version of fine is unique.
Yeah.
You have to be comfortable with it. I want
Yeah.
a confident man. He's confident.
That's
It's crazy because, like, you know, I come from, like, super kind of, I mean, man, I'm not going to start talking about, like,
Yes.
toxic masculinity, but my old man was, like, fucking uber machismo, fucking Brooklyn dude, like, straight up guy like that. All my friends growing up were, like, kind of, like, alpha gangster in their own way, too. And you got members, like, Brooklyn then to suburbs, right? I went to art school in Manhattan. I went to Parsons, right? So I'm talking like mid to late 80s I went there.
Parsons. I would have never clocked you for a Parsons.
Yo, nobody does. It's
That's
crazy. It's actually, I'm
amazing.
listed on their, like, they have an esteemed alumni thing on, like, Wikipedia, and it says all the people that went there. And that says Rob Weiss, parentheses, thrown out of film school.
No,
it doesn't.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's
How
kind
sick
of
is
genius,
that?
though. That's amazing.
Well, because I was so
Why
basically
were you thrown out?
it's a crazy fucking story. I want to get into more about you, but I'll tell this story anyway, and I hope he doesn't cut it out. This motherfucker over here.
Why would you cut
Why have I
out
become
such
like
an
the
important jewel?
The edit.
yeah, like the executioner. Like I just
Scissorhands
cut
over there.
Yeah, exactly.
The evil editor.
Sean went to work on my story.
my God,
No, so
Sean,
basically, like I said, you know, the first year of Parsons is like a foundation year. You're trying to figure out what you want to do. Like for me, I always loved clothes, and I was like, shit, I want to make shit, but I wanted to be like Ralph Lauren. You know what I mean? I don't want to make evening wear. I wanted to make shit for me and my friends, you know, stuff like that. And I was really into like Italian, like, you know, linen,
Yeah.
and sweaters and stuff like that. So I got into fashion just based off of the fact that I would do all these designs of like prints and shit I wanted to make. And when I got into the fashion department, they were like, no, we do women's evening wear. And I'm like, oh, okay. So now I'm like trying to like drape muslin for dresses. And like it did not work at all, right? It was really funky. But the craziest thing that happened in there, and this story I might have told, a girl in my class I was reading the book Lesson Zero. And I don't read a lot, and I definitely didn't read a lot in school, but for whatever reason, Lesson Zero, maybe the fact I knew they were making it into a movie with some of these Brat Pack kids at the time, it was like Andrew McCarthy, Robert Downey Jr., but I'm like, I want to read this. Sounds really cool. And I was reading it, and a girl in my class came over to me. She was like, oh, my dad's producing that as a movie. And I was like, oh, I want to be in it, or I want to go work on it. And she was like, if you want to be in movies, what are you doing in this class? And this is like in a fashion class. And I was like, yeah,
good
man.
point.
She might have a point.
Yeah.
Just like
So at the end of the semester, they basically asked me to leave like fashion because like I didn't measure up, and I was like, all right. I took some time off to be a club promoter, but when I went back, I was really getting invested in making movies and storytelling and stuff like that. So I went back to the film school, and it was like bumpy because like I'm not a polished guy. Like I don't think anybody's ever growing up. It was always like, yo, this guy's a fucking idiot. In my private school with all these kids, they'd be like, this guy's the dumbest guy in school. I just didn't apply myself. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even after I made a movie, one of my friends hit up another kid I graduated high school with and was like, maybe said this guy couldn't even fucking write his name. The guy just literally wrote a movie that, fucking crushed at Sundance. So,
Exactly.
I'm going to bring myself to tears. I'm just kidding. I'm joking. I got something caught in my throat. So anyway, I go to the film school there. First semester's kind of right. Second semester is just like this. There were like people of all different ages in the class. I was probably like 21, 22. There was some guy with just a bad fucking attitude. He was probably like late 20s. And what they do is they assign you to each other's crews, right? Okay. So I'm going to go make a short film. Uh-huh. And they're like, you're going to be a cinematographer. You'll be his AD. You'll star in it. Like everybody just kind of goes around.
Yeah.
So they made me like his camera operator. Somebody goes, he's like, I'll load the film the night before. You know what I mean? Like, look at me like I was incapable. And I was like, cool, whatever. So I just had a bad vibe with the guy.
Right.
So.
You beat him up?
So I'm getting to it. So
God,
basically.
Come on, man.
She called it.
My
She
spirit.
saw it coming. Damn.
I'm getting to the story.
So
basically, we do an in-class kind of tech shoot. And some woman's like, I'm directing. And another woman's like, I'm doing this and that. Some guy's like, I'm doing this and that. I'm just kind of standing there like, my teacher at the time was like just a doc teacher, but he was kind of a douchebag in his own way. So he's just watching us go down and he's like, you're going to act in it. Or she's like, you're going to act in it. And I'm like, all right. And then they look at this guy who was a douchebag to me and they're like, you're going to act in it too. And I'm like, all right, what's the scene? And they were like, you're a drug dealer and you're coming to collect money from him. And I was like, oh, I could do this scene. So we're running the scene and literally it's like a table like this, right? The camera's right there. It's just like a shot on him. And then like I come walking, I don't even know what the shot is. Like I walk into frame on an angle and like they're just covering me talking to him at the table. And then I'm supposed to go around him, but we didn't really block out the scene, right? So I come in, I'm like I don't know how to act, but I'm like, I got like probably had so much anxiety. All these people are looking at me trying to perform, and there's a camera. I mean, I'm like, I come in, I'm like, yeah, where's the money? He's like, I don't have the money. Or you know what I mean? However he's doing it. I'm like, well, you better get the fucking money. Like it's just improv. It's not like really scripted.
Ooh, I just
and he's like, you need to like chill out. Like, in his version, he's like, you need to chill out, or I'm gonna call your boss. And I was like, fucking call him. The only prop on the desk was like a rotary like phone, whatever. God. So I'm like, call him. So then he goes over. He's like, I have him here for the money. And I was like, oh, you're going to call my boss? And I go up behind him. I think this actually precedes Goodfellas, or maybe I just pulled the move from Goodfellas. But I just go take the phone and just kind of wrap it around his head, just like the cord. But I really didn't even pull. He immediately goes into panic, throws the desk, like, get the fuck off me, right? And I was like, fuck you, motherfucker, or something. The next day, like,
when
I throw the
improv goes too far.
Yes, it just, well, I hated him
when
anyway.
keeping it real goes wrong.
But there's like So basically, my teacher goes nuts. He's like, "Get the hell out of my classroom! You save your violence for the streets." This, that. I'm like, I was like, all right. So the funniest thing is, so now I'm like out of class. I'm like angry. I hate everybody. I snuck back into the school with a friend of mine.
That's hilarious.
Who thought he was an actor, and we snuck in and we got like the footage. And we watched it on like a movieola, which is like you'd crank it and watch it. And my friends looked at me, he's like, this is nothing. If we were in Hollywood, a director would have been like, I need more, Rob. I need more from you. So, cut to, I go to Sundance. Literally a year later, I go, as they throw me out of school, I'm like, I'm going to go make a feature. The guy's like, yeah. The teacher, literally the teacher's like, yeah, dickhead, shoot it in 70 millimeter. Like, this is literally how far this thing like goes down. I'm like fighting with teachers, shit like this. I go and make Amongst Friends. Like totally inspired, like to give the ultimate fuck you. I'm just gonna be like 23 shooting a movie. I do it.
So you made a film at Sundance sarcastically, and it ended up becoming really good.
No, there were a lot of reasons for it, but that was definitely part of it. So I'm at Sundance. Some guy comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, I know a guy from New Jersey, and he was looking at the Sundance booklet of the movies in competition." And he said, if you're the Rob Weiss he thinks you are, he's going to kill himself. And I go, who's that? And he tells me the name of the guy, and it's the guy I choked with the phone cord.
No.
And I go, oh, yeah. Tell him to kill himself. I was like, I'm exactly who the fuck it is. And he was like, he's going to die. I was like, it is what it is, man.
Did he die?
No.
No. Oh,
you never know.
gosh.
You never know. I was curious.
It was very cinematic in
This might be a two-part. This might turn. Now we have to talk about our guest.
Yeah.
I feel like I got so much off my
The Chronicles of Rob Weiss.
It's like therapy. I feel like I was your therapist or some shit.
Bro, I was talking
It's
so
like true Hollywood
hard
story.
that my gum disintegrated.
Nice. Commitment.
I think this might be like some organic Erewhon gum. It's not really gum. It doesn't have gum inside the gum. It's just some like
Erewhon gum.
Yeah, just dissolved. I'm like talking. That's why I was like choking.
Yeah, it's like rabbit testicles or something. It's like,
Oh my man. But anyway, yes, that was like my experience. I don't even know how the fuck we got into it.
No, I think that is exactly how we got into it because I'm in the room and I'm full of magic.
There you go.
Laurieann will pull the magic.
You are for sure, man.
Represent anti-system. That's
Yes.
probably why we.
Speaking of magic,
you know what I mean? Anti-system.
Out right now.
Yeah.
And that's what.
But you've existed. But it's crazy because you've not only existed within one system, but multiple systems, right? I mean, or at least institutions, right? Like,
well, I don't know that I existed within it. It existed because of me, and I think that a part of being a real artist or a real visionary is when that system stops you from being authentic to that gift, that calling, that passion, that truth that you got to break out. You know what I mean? You've got to trust that thing that's in you.
But don't you think that's like so much of what's going on in the world right now that I don't even think it's necessarily that people are being limited to what they can and say, do,
Right.
But it's the fear of like doing the wrong thing, saying the wrong thing, creating the wrong thing.
Fear.
That's kind of stifled people.
1,000. It's fear is absolutely what they're selling. And then artists like myself and obviously like the Cray and everything that you're doing and we're all doing has to be evidence of another option.
Right.
We have the freedom to choose. We'll never lose that. Not in America, not today, not tomorrow, right?
But what keeps you fearless, though? You know, I've known you for a long time, and I've watched the turbulent road.
Turbulent is right.
But what keeps Laurieann Gibson grounded? The little Canadian girl that came to New York City with a dream, bright-eyed, because we've seen it all. We were there when
she's still bright-eyed.
Yeah, still bright-eyed.
Song alert.
I'm just
Still
letting you know,
bright-eyed.
We've had many female guests, but he doesn't act
Song
like.
alert.
He act like
This is.
acted like
He's
this.
never.
I
I've
love
never
this.
seen him act like this anywhere.
I don't think I've
Anywhere.
ever conducted myself as inappropriately as I have today.
What
ever
What
in
is
my entire life.
inappropriate about
But it's
it?
not
Nothing.
inappropriate. It's
That's just we're joking because I'm being like outwardly flirty and like,
you're
And-
blushing, you're glowing.
I'm not really
This is great.
blushing, but I am hot in here.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Well, it feelings visual.
Well, we're both in like
Exciting.
black crew neck hoodie,
Sure,
crew
I'm
neck
sure it's the
sweatshirts.
black crew necks. that
Yeah,
one reason why
we're
they're
both toasty.
But no, seriously though,
Great minds
how do you how do you continue to stay fearless in a climate where being fearless is so censored, so monitored?
I think when I was young, for some reason, and obviously, it goes deeper. But I always said to myself, I never wanted to die a version of myself. I could not exist a version of myself. So that continues to create this fight in me. And I have a passion that burns bigger than anyone's opinion of myself. So I am fearless because when I feed that passion, I feel full.
And is that like a passion to like constantly evolve?
Yes, and to create that full feeling in myself. So what happens is if I'm oppressed or somebody tells me you can't move to New York at 18 and pursue dancing, well, the option to that doesn't make me happy.
But who said you couldn't do that?
The world, the system, other people's parents.
Right.
Well, the odds that were against me. I was Canadian. I was illegal. I didn't have enough money. All of those things are legitimate reasons not to let your child jump on a bus, right? But what was burning, what was more incredibly fulfilling was the dream, was the passion I had to get to New York to dance. Right. And when I danced, you couldn't tell me.
And where's your first stop when you get there? Was it Alvin Ailey? I read that.
It was Alvin Ailey,
But
yes.
Isn't that kind of like the go-to for everybody? Isn't that like kind of like...
Black.
No, but it is like,
well,
it's
now,
like a
yes,
standard, right?
Well,
like, it's
now,
like that kind of dance troupe where you look at, like, it's like going to Strasbourg for an actor,
that part,
right?
it's the most incredible training. Obviously, when I was 12, I went to see a performance my mother took me to at the O'Keefe Center in Toronto, and it was Alvin Ailey. And prior to that, I was taking ballet classes, and I was the only black girl in a class, and Mr. Christopher said, "Oh, your feet are too flat, your thighs are too thick."
Right.
I was like, well, these thick thighs.
Well, it sounds like me, bro. It actually sounds like me.
Exactly.
I don't have thick thighs, but
and like you, I looked at him and I was like, oh, not today.
Yeah.
My thighs are what they are. You want me to what? Cut my thighs in half? Like that? The option wasn't an option.
But that's, baby, you know what? So you were around when shit was icy. You know what I mean?
Very icy. And icy behind your back.
I'm older than you, but I grew up on like icy culture, like watching the show Fame, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. The movie with Irene Cara, that whole thing, right? It's like, yo, they were ruthless. Like people, like even acting studios in New York, people just look at you and go, you have no talent, you're not gonna make it. You know, you hear all those stories. Now it's like, just fucking be nice, right? Be kind or whatever. I don't know.
But even
and
like
that
just
extreme
I'm saying
is
culturally,
wrong. And
I think that's wrong also because like, listen, everybody's got an opinion. Like I remember somebody telling Dustin Hoffman, "You'll never make it as an actor," right? That was like one of those stories that's floating around out there as kind of like, you know, actors to go like, don't listen to them. Look what they told Dustin Hoffman, right? But then there's also other people that like may suck at things who are going to throw years of their life at it, probably never really get good. I don't think you should shit on people's dreams, but it is kind of okay if you're close with them to be like, yo, you know, you should do some other shit, you know, like
have a backup plan.
Yeah, like I tell everybody now, like people getting into entertainment, I'm like, do everything. Because when I got into entertainment, it was like if you were like a filmmaker or writer director and you were like, hey, I have a marketing company, they'd be like, he's not serious about his craft.
Right.
You know, I also have a restaurant, like, he's not really a writer director. He has a restaurant. Like, it was like the people were fucking nuts back then. Now I'm like, do everything that you could fit into a fucking day and like have just a super vertical life that makes you happy and full and make dough and like. I wish they taught us that when we like me.
Well, they didn't because we were the architects of where we are now, right? And we were leaders. So
you're right. I'm going to take some fucking credit for this shit.
Yeah, we had to carry the burden of that architect.
It was like my disenfranchised nature that got us to this fucking
That's what I'm saying.
This day of reckoning.
Thank God you survived it.
But even with Mr. Christopher.
And flourished in the survive, man.
Even with Mr. Christopher saying that your feet too flat. Your thighs are too big. Obviously, you have a warrior spirit.
Yes.
But who was fueling that? So, you know, when I see my daughter, I have a 5-year-old, obviously, you know, and I have a 4-month-old. When I see my daughter being discouraged, you know, with life, it's my job to then step in and say, no, Maddie, let's try it again. No, Maddie, let's X, Y, and Z. Who was that voice in your life when, you know, Mr. Christopher, but, you know, God bless him, wherever he is.
I love how Mr. Christopher's become a supporting role in this.
He's a character. But, you know, that's a lot to, you know, because we look up to adults, and a lot of times when adults say things, it's not, you know, an opinion, it's factual. It's carved in stone. So who was like, no, Laurie, you got this.
I think, well, first of all, I come from Jamaican parentage, and one thing you have to know about Jamaicans is the truth is better than anything, right? Almost to a degree. My mother's Jamaican, and the truth. You want the truth, you're going to get the truth. The truth, the truth, the truth, the truth.
I love that. That's so that's like a big part of that is that transparency.
Household. Yes. And that dope. The imperfections are your perfections, you know? So obviously I had a strong mother who, when she was young, she wanted to make dresses. She wanted to be a fashion designer. Right. And her mother was like, that's not a real job. Yeah. So when she had kids, she said, I don't care at whatever cost. I'm not going to tell my children that they can't do what they're feeling inside. They're passionate about. So as you say, when Maddie asks you, and you can't talk about Maddie and my eyes not get wet, it is imperative that you speak to the strength in your child and not the weakness, especially as a girl. Because the one thing that we hang on to is our parents' version of our beauty, our father's interpretation of our beauty, our mother's security in her own beauty. And if there is insecurity, then that is how we will grow as women.
Yes.
The consistency of your reaction creates confidence.
Right.
And a balanced human being who doesn't fear the truth when they go into the world.
Right.
I never feared the truth because when Mr. Christopher said it, I was like, that's not my truth.
See, I have feared the truth in my life.
That's not my truth.
I don't fear the truth anymore, but I think in my life, like, there's definitely been insecurities where I would not want to hear the truth.
Well, that's only because the rejection you experienced earlier as an artist built up that fear.
But I never was crazy as I never really experienced any rejection.
No,
like, that
I mean
was part
the stuff
of my
that you had to fight around. The stuff you had to fight through, like the school throwing you out.
I think like the guy making me feel like I was incapable of loading. Which, by the way, he might have been right.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't because you were never destined to do that. Was that going to be your passion?
You're right. I was never. Exactly. I didn't want to be a camera operator or a fucking assistant camera. Right.
So people like us, every time we got to fight some system. It might not be openly insecurity, but they are wounds that you build up some question. You're only human.
Right.
And I understand that. I identified that. As I started to build superstars, I mean, I was like, is it that bad?
Right.
That a black girl's behind a pop star? Like, what am I missing?
Right.
Is it that bad that every time I show up, you never lose?
Yeah. Right.
Like, we're the game, the numbers on the board. Like, the receipts don't lie. Is it that bad? I had to search myself when I faced a male oppressive system that was intimidated.
Right.
So, yes,
and who is that? Is that the managers, the people who are like pretending to curate the artists?
It is,
but are so concerned that they'll lose their artist to you.
The power. Instead, I don't want to do that. I never wanted to do that. I just wanted to do what I signed up to do.
And make it better.
But I didn't know the game.
Right.
I didn't understand
Me neither. I didn't understand the game until, like, you know, I was deep into the fucking game. I still don't understand.
Right.
Like, they change it all the fucking time. I'm like, the game changed?
We do understand.
Like, I didn't get the fucking memo.
Rob. We are the game.
Yeah.
So for our
we are.
Exactly.
For our listeners out there, just to run some of these names off, obviously there are too many people to count, but off the top of your head, who are some of the people that we know that you've worked with?
I do hate this, but
I'll say it for sure. I mean, first off, the amount of awards she's been nominated for. VMAs, you want a VMA. Those are with Lady Gaga. But like even looking at the earlier days of Nicki Minaj and like where you started and how you built, I'm like, holy shit. I mean, there's fucking names on there that like I was like,
I want to hear him. I want you to say.
Well, I just didn't want to put her on blast.
I want to put on blast some of the people that you worked with that was some of our listeners, because you know in our industry, being a stylist. Our names get mentioned very small.
If so at all.
If so at all. You see them look good, you see them dance well, and you're like, wow, such and such looks great, such and such can dance well. But name some of those people. I just want to hear them.
Well, I always say a true superstar is someone that has the grace to not only acknowledge their team, but understand that the power in you needs a team so that you can sustain being an icon or being a superstar, you know? With that being said, obviously Katy Perry, Nicki Minaj, Lady Gaga, Puff Daddy, Missy Elliott, the Jonas Brothers, Demi Lovato, Machine Gun Kelly, the Dixie Chicks, Michael Jackson. Oh my God, the list does go on. So many.
And I think I think it's important for our listeners to one.
Mary J. Blige.
See a woman like yourself.
Snoop. Hey, Snoopy.
Who else? Keep going.
Young Thug. Personally working with the incredible, I love her so much, Meg Thee Stallion.
I heard that new hottie sauce is really good.
It's so good.
What is it? Hot sauce?
She made this new sauce for Popeyes.
Oh yeah, I saw Martin eating.
People are like raving about
It's
it. Like they're like, "Yo, it's the best. It's the best sauce ever." So I gotta
good.
try
But
that
yes, the list does go on, and unfortunately, you know, I do hate that question because it's like educating people based on what you've done or your art versus the ability that you have.
But it's a shortcut because they go like, when you could list 20 people that you've choreographed for or done various creative endeavors with, and they go like, oh, I fuck with that person, I fuck with that person, I fuck with that person. Ultimately, they're like, holy shit, I really fuck with your work, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, in a way, I'm only as good as the shit I've done in the past. But everybody's always like, what's next? And you're like, well, I'm working on this. Yeah, what else? It's like, dude, leave me the fuck alone. You know?
Yeah, and even that
For you,
narrative.
it's past. For me, it's future.
No,
like,
and me
they
too.
Need to know, yeah.
Well, you know, and me too. And when they don't educate themselves, you go, oh, that's funny, because I just actually launched the first ever Netflix of dance, Bop. Born out of passion. I have my own network for dance. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
All
What is the announcement I saw? I saw something.
Oh, probably yesterday. So I did also a deal with Catalina, and Catalina is headed by obviously the genius Jeff Collins, who did Dance Moms. I did Dance Moms. I've been on television as well. So You Think You Can Dance, Dance Moms.
Right.
My own shows, obviously, Making the Band.
Yeah.
A slew of them. So we did this incredible deal together, and we created this show that I'm super excited about called The Icon.
Right.
Which is really a competition about what we're talking about, my methodology. Like, anyone's born to sing, but are you built to be an icon?
Right.
And
I like
that's the
that.
future for these young artists, because they're online searching for intention or why.
Right.
I don't know why I want to do this, so I don't know how to create from my why. No one's properly developing me. When you talk about the music industry, we talk about Andre, Motown, we talk about the Rolling Stones, we talk about Led Zeppelin, we talk about my first album, which was Meatloaf. Dashboard Light, production, artistry.
Yeah.
We talk about development, and it's okay. You go in the studio, you make a record. It's like writing a script. You're going to need time to experience that record and carry the capacity. So when people buy a ticket, they go and see an artist.
The system's just,
but the
you said
system
it today.
is
You
bullshit.
indicted it all. The system's not the same.
Well,
the
it should
whole
be
support
responsible
of
to
artists,
yes, it's money.
like,
you have to know as an artist. You have to do your research.
I mean, now it's like managers put themselves out there to be as famous as their fucking clients. I'm not even going to reference certain people. And you look at it, you know what I mean? Like, the whole thing has just become like a fucking clout game.
Yeah.
That's right.
And like the artistry, I think, like, listen, I love so much about what's going on just in pop culture in general between art and music and fashion. There's so much great stuff happening right now, so I'm not saying it sucks. But what I'm saying is it's very fast.
Sustainability is questionable.
It moves It moves very fast, and that's the same thing as saying how's it going to sustain? And I just don't feel like the best is always rising, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I feel like what's hyped the most rises the most, you know? So, I mean, I think time will shake it out, like what you're saying.
I do too. And also, like the Cray, an option for someone who's sitting at home with a burning passion to do what you've done, what O'Neal's done, what Shawn's done. By the way, Shawn, I love your eyebrows. They're fucking amazing.
I have nice eyebrows.
Who's hearing the Cray and is in search of a decoded conversation.
Yes. And that's what we pride ourselves in. We pride ourselves in.
Yeah.
We're like, we're decoded, but we're decoded light. You know what I mean? Meaning, like, I think, like, you know, none of us, like, had ever really done this. I think O'Neal had a radio show, but I've never, like, hosted a podcast. We're only 14 episodes in. We're still, like, kind of developmental stage where we're learning how to have a rhythm with one another, but also I think we have to build it and like build our foundation and build it strong before we get fucking totally annihilated by the system that surrounds it. Because right now they could extinguish us rather quickly. We're not like a household entity. You know what I mean? Like we're not.
But
totally,
they also need the option, because when you have a select brand that produces high end, people will pay for it because of what it gives them, right?
Right.
And
Absolutely.
you want that as a marketing tool.
Absolutely.
You want to create the next narrative.
Right.
You don't want to be stuck. This algorithm is stuck.
Right.
And until we inject it with a new perspective, they'll go, oh, add that to the algorithm.
Yep.
And now we're just adding an option. So we got to speak to the truth of where Gen Z is, where we are, and why we're where we are, right? We can dominate just by a conversation. We can dominate with one form of art. We can dominate with one performance that can truly affect them emotionally. Not just when the artist is like walking back and forth in an outfit. Look at me, look at me.
Yeah.
Well, what is the ticket buyer getting out of that?
Right.
Nothing. That's why when you do see someone, like when Snoop still walks on stage,
Right.
all ages go crazy. They don't even understand what that feeling is like.
That's true.
When Beyonce goes on stage, everyone still goes crazy.
Yep.
So we could argue it on down. Jay opens his mouth. We're all, y'all are going crazy again, no matter what.
Well, you
right?
said the Jonas Brothers last night. I was literally like, me and my kid were hanging out in my bed. It's like 9:00, and I'm cheering.
Yeah.
Like literally from the Hollywood Bowl to my house.
Wow.
The bros.
5 minutes later.
That's
like
right.
people are going crazy. I'm like,
Jonas Brothers.
I'm like, who the fuck is at the bowl tonight? I go, like the eruption of cheers. So often I looked up, it was Jonas Brothers.
Well, when I was doing Making the Band, and I was absolutely in like turmoil with Puff, and I got a call from Sony, and they said, we have this little boy, and he's 12, 13, and he's doing Good Morning America, and he's singing a Christmas song, and we want you to work with his stage presence. And I was like, okay, anything to get me out of freaking Making the Band, right?
Yeah.
So I went to the meeting, and it was baby Joe and his dad. And he was so young and so talented and could sing his little face off. And I remember the dad looked at me and he was like, long story short, I have 2 other sons, and I just want to protect my son from this business. And I said, okay. Well, maybe I can ask Johnny Wright to come down and manage you. That's all I can offer, because he's an amazing manager. And he had NSYNC, Britney, and the Backstreet Boys at the time, and he was managing Puff and doing the Making the Band series with me. Yep. Well, Johnny stood me up like fucking 3 times and was making me look crazy. So I was like, okay, Dad, well, bring the other boys down to rehearsal. Let them rehearse. I'll figure it out. So the other boys came down, and I was like, in my mind, I was like, oh my God, they're baby Rolling Stone. Like, I just started letting them work together and finding that chemistry, and they had it as brothers. But it's
you
different
are like the
when
de facto
you connect.
coach.
Right. It's different when you
but they
see
want you just to
the
help develop
end.
stage presence.
Yeah, it's different when you see the end at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right?
definitely.
And now you're moving people into the actual dream, and you're seeing their gift, and you're creating a muscle of truth. Right?
Right.
Just like Phil Jackson did.
Right.
With the freaking.
Right, both.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when I do it, you don't want to understand it.
Right.
Cool. Johnny stood me up, so I went to his assistant, Phil McIntyre. I think that's how I pronounce your name, Phil. I said, Phil, if you want to be like Johnny, come to my rehearsal. Please help me out. I just didn't want to embarrass myself because I loved Dad so much.
Yeah.
And I didn't want the boys to be disappointed. And I'm a very faithful child.
Right.
And the father told me that he prayed over the reels. There were several reels, and he picked mine. So that's all you had to tell me. I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. You know what I mean? And anything positive, a juxtaposition to Sean Puff Daddy Combs at the time, I was just thirsting for a different creative process.
Right.
So Phil was like, okay, I'll come. So Phil came. Of course, he saw them. And he said, okay, I'll help you out. So he then went back to Johnny, and he sold them. He agreed to take on the boys. So I stayed with the boys, created them, did Disney, blue. And all I remember is it kept blowing up. It kept blowing up. And I remember one time they were touring in the round, and I jumped on the private jet, and all I knew is that I was reading an article where they just got paid like $121 million or something like that. And I'm looking at Phil, and he doesn't even want to cut the check I'm asking for.
Wow.
That's insane.
And I was like, devastated. And after that, I never got to work with my boys again.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
They started moving in lesser than
everybody,
me.
you know, everybody's
and I
happy,
understand
like,
it now. And I'm
so
not
people
saying
start
that
asking for money,
I'm
you know?
shitting on anybody. I'm saying that's my truth.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
but don't
the
you
warrior's
think
truth. No, because I'll tell
don't
you
just
what.
think that's so basic in this business?
I will tell you this. In my vision,
Right.
those fans may have been screaming, but those fans were still the fans from day one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes when you don't disconnect artists from their true creative muse, we don't know what those fans will be looking like right now.
Right. Well, they're a composite of all the lessons they learned from all the people that they learned it from. All
But
the
my theory is they would still be hotter.
right.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
But that's just me.
Right.
But I'm just saying that to say that is not a bad story, and not to shit on Phil or anything. But I get what book you were reading. This is the book I had to write.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And love you.
Yeah,
Love
I think
but
you know what? I think like to me, it's like there's two places. Like you'll see all these people come. Oh yeah, we had creative differences. We had creative differences. I feel like the bulk of the time, it's people aren't getting the love that they feel they deserve, or they rightfully do deserve. Right, but I'm saying, and it's in financials, or it's in credit, right?
Well,
or
it's also
respect and support.
If you manage greatness,
Yeah.
you have to know how to manage greatness.
Yeah.
Right,
To me, that
right.
only showed me that he wasn't like the greats, Ahmet Edigan,
Right,
Clive Davis,
right.
Period.
or the managers that
Period.
manage
Right,
greatness.
right.
Don't get me wrong. There are some people in this business that are thoroughbreds and incredibly
right.
magic or managers, and will allow you to continue to turn over what you do naturally, and you are protected and managed to stay in what I call the pink elephant suit when you're creating, right?
Right.
That's important to me. I don't want to manage. I want to be managed with the whole entire creative process.
Gotcha.
And as long as you're feeding the greatness,
Right.
and you're not, obviously there are rules to this game. Yes, I am not disrespectful. I am never late. I do not color outside my lines. I don't do what I don't do. I stay in my lane. Like, I'm going to tell you what I do. I'm going to make it, and that's it. And my receipts prove it. Where's the respect? So now we're teaching our artists to respond to the ego versus the greatness, to the play.
But don't you
We're
think that just
teaching
happens?
them.
It evolves that way. Like, would you say, so that's a scenario that happens with the Jonas Brothers? What's a scenario that happens with Gaga, who you work with for probably even longer, right?
Oh, yeah, from the beginning to
Right,
the
but
end.
does it feel like you go, oh, patterns emerge, or does it feel like every dynamic, every relationship is slightly different?
That, and yes, there were perhaps patterns, which is why I also checked my process.
Right.
Okay?
Gotcha. You have
now,
to, right.
you have to.
Right.
1,000%.
I try to do that with all my relationships, in the past. Like, I'm like, well, some patterns have emerged,
Yeah.
and,
You gotta check.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
Newsflash.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
course,
guess
of course.
what? Greatness comes at a cost. You're not going to walk into a room every day and everybody's going to get along when you're fighting for an original vision.
100%.
When you're coming from nobody knows your name, our names,
Yeah.
the vision to 55 million albums sold. Who thinks that there's not going to be creative combustion?
Yeah.
Of course. We had so much
they're
toxicity
ignorant.
on Entourage. It's
They're
crazy.
ignorant.
Good fight in that
can only
writer's
imagine.
room. It
Yeah,
would be
it's how you
bananas. Yeah.
manage it, support it, and
Yeah.
protect it, right? Now, no, listen, I love Gogs. I haven't spoken to her, but I love her the same today that I did yesterday.
Right.
We, Magic, Muse, couldn't touch us. The particular people around her,
Right.
It's always the people.
they wanted to...
I don't trust that dog walker, bro. I'm kidding. I'm joking.
that part separate us. I didn't even know that there was like power in what I did. We didn't even think like that. We were two women.
Because you had such
yeah, that we didn't want to go back to the freaking
Like I like Lady Gaga. I'm not like
Yeah.
I'm
Oh
not
my
like a crazy
God.
Gaga fan, but I since I did reference the dog walker, I do have to go on record and say I think it's very fucking strange that this guy gets shot protecting her dogs, and then he had to set up a GoFundMe page.
Yeah,
I don't know. It seems
not on my watch.
Yeah, because I'd be like, Gaga, you probably got a Hyundai you could throw the guy.
Not on my watch. I would have walked my dog, her dog myself. I'm saying,
there's always
you
got
to check people around you. Exactly.
Yeah.
But again, there is I think, just as powerful as we are creatively, there is another energy that wants to monetize, that has no true understanding of the process. And one thing that you can do with a creative person is, if you get them in the corner of insecurity, or you get them questioning their instincts,
right,
you can manipulate that.
100%.
And I call that the leech factor.
Yeah.
So when there's leeches, they need to keep you chasing your tail in order to be needed.
Yeah.
And a lot of people can't see past that. And it is.
You know how you free up from that? There's only one way, is you go, you know what, I might fail. I don't give a fuck. Get the fuck out of my face. Like, that is the only
Or when you are around yes-agans, when you're around yes-agans.
But
if mother is telling you no, just go on record and trust the no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, trust the no.
Well, I mean, I think it's different stages and different phases of the career. But I agree with that.
Well, if someone's been with you since the beginning, trust the no.
The people that gaslight you and make you question whether or not you're good enough, those things, or maybe you lost it, or maybe it's just not. I think like the best thing for you to do is to be open to the experience of failure and to trust your own instincts. I think we're saying the same thing.
That's right.
That would come to me going, well, you know what, this is what I feel like I'm going to do, and you might be right. It might be the wrong move.
Yeah, but you were affected by people that knew your greatness and wanted you to fail. Now, if you had me in your life, like if I was on your arm, motherfucker, we would have.
Well, I mean, I fucked up my whole career.
Hello.
I was.
We would have.
In the 90s into 2000, I was a famous cautionary tale for young filmmakers because I just didn't exercise the opportunities I had, you know, because there was so much insecurity in my head. I had such a shitty support system.
Well, if you won by your standards, it could have shook the narrative, and you did, and it's still shaking the narrative.
Right.
So great, let's pick it up from there.
Yeah,
but the point is, that's a true fight, and I think to talk about it like we're talking about it gives a young artist perspective. That's
of course,
all.
Because that
if
fight,
I had an option, I probably would have left Gogs a lot earlier because I wouldn't have wanted it to go like that. If I knew it was those clowns, if someone tapped me on my shoulder like, you're actually doing this to them and you're causing this in their ecosystem, I would have been like, let me go so I don't lose my relationship with my baby.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Let me be mother.
Right. Yeah.
Okay?
That's true.
And let her get some clarity before it's too late, because God bless the artists that are so in it.
Right.
That it's not easy. And I love them, and I gotta tell you.
If I've been confused as a young filmmaker, you could only imagine what a Lady Gaga.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Like, I got one ring around me.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
She got 1,000,
it's
man.
the music industry, too.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I pride myself in working with superstars and great ones because I understand it.
Right.
I understand that this is not easy.
Right.
So I can carry the hardest, most difficult superstars.
Right.
I'm like, my brother comes to mind because their greatness really comes with a lot.
Yeah. Of course.
And just like I always
don't
go
you
back.
think that's also part of what we're in right now too? And I'm not talking about people who are like fucking sexual assault and people that are just fucking disgusting animals. But don't you think the artistic idiosyncrasies, or better said, the idiosyncrasies that go with some of these amazing talents, everything is under a microscope now and open for exploitation.
Yeah, but you know what?
But they're artists. Like, why can't you just appreciate their music? Why does it have to be about their sexuality?
It's hard for some people to separate those two worlds. You know what I mean? It's like...
But they're like, you know what I mean? Like, if you had like a guy who is like a super bad tipper, right? I mean, it's a stupid fucking concept, but let's just say it was like a huge star, super bad tipper. It's like, that shit would be everywhere. He's the worst fucking tipper. Do you know how hard servers work? You don't take it, but like, you don't fully know the narrative of how broke he was. That's and how in his head he fears he's going to be broke again. Shit like that kind of shit.
Right.
Yeah, it's different.
But then you go, oh, he's an eccentric, crazy artist, filmmaker, musician, whatever the fuck it is. I just feel like now we look as a culture for the one thing we could find on everybody.
We magnify it.
And just try to fucking, like an
Find the
Achilles
one
heel.
flaw and
And just keep trying to chop
But
them
you
down,
know
chop
what?
them down,
It
chop
has
them
always
down.
been heavy as the crown, right?
Right, right.
And so now
True,
that the pendulum has swung there,
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
If you were in public eye, sorry.
Right.
That's just the kickball change.
Right.
Figure it out.
Right, so then,
so
then it
now
goes to the other thing I said, where you got to go, it's okay, I'll fail. If that's
exactly,
what people want
exactly. So
right.
now we can balance it out, because I
Right.
will tell you what's going to rise out of that pressure.
Is what?
Is real talent.
Yeah.
What's going to rise?
Is it really going to rise out of that?
Because I'm still going to know how to circumvent it. Dave Chappelle,
Right.
greatest comedian to like.
Yeah, but he had risen 20 years ago.
And will
now
continue to
he is-
rise.
Yes. But
Because of the
listen, I'm a
gift.
huge Chappelle fan.
His-
but he was already a huge star pre all of these movements.
Totally.
And he has been on the chopping block for a fucking year and a half over this
But what
shit.
I'm talking about is not the trajectory. I'm talking about
Right.
the innate
ability to get a message
Yes,
across.
I'm talking about the choice
Communication.
one
Yes.
makes.
Right.
So now that you messed us up by not telling the truth about some things and creating the balance, the pendulum is all the way over here where you're right. Shoot, we can't say nothing. This is insane. But greatness will
Well, it's just that
rise
I
because
just-
we will figure out how to say what's necessary, because that's where true talent
That's cool
lays.
too. Listen, you know, I mean, I remember like my first movie's like fuck this, fuck that, which by the way I still drop f-bombs all the time. But I remember my dad, who's also an f-bomb expert, would be like, "Oh, you can't figure out another way to get your point across without saying fuck." You know what I mean?
Great art form to it.
But it's the same thing.
Richard
That's
Pryor.
a microcosm of what you're saying, because what you're saying is like there is a better language to get your point, your vision,
That's right.
your voice, all these things across, and we will rise to do it.
Yeah.
My whole thing, all that I'm kind of bumping back against is making sure we don't kill the babies, the talent, before they blossom because of dumb fucking things they do. You know what I mean? Or the mistakes they make, or the
But we
idiosyncrasies they have.
had to be responsible for the process.
Right.
And that's why I talk about the process a lot. Because in the process, it really does perfect those instincts.
Right.
And so when we teach them that there's an overnight success,
Right.
that's not a good narrative. That narrative is going to have its own complications.
Yeah, I was in it.
Right?
I saw it.
How
yeah.
can you take, yes.
You can't take
How
away
can
the
you
process.
take someone walking on the street,
Right.
throw them in the NBA, and expect them to go up against a true system, an art
Right.
form?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, just want to know. How can you take someone off the street, and not Floyd Mayweather and put them in the ring with a
Right.
world-class fighter? You're going to get your ass kicked. Perhaps you may
Right.
even die.
Right.
So in our business, there are greats. Debbie Allen, I stand on the shoulder of greats.
Yeah.
Whitney Houston, I work with. You would die if you went in the room. You will still die if you go in the room with Janet Jackson. This
Right.
art, this
Yes.
Elvis, you will, true art, it's a whole genre.
A whole nother level.
So I think we rob a truly gifted artist of an option to a stronger narrative, because there's one thing about my younger artists that I know, and the people I'm working with that will be global superstars shortly. They want it the real way, because when they
Right.
sing, they feel connected to what I'm saying.
Right.
And when they see the results, I have an 18-year-old girl right now that is going to be the next Britney Spears, a global pop star. When she connected to the methodology, she didn't want to be on Instagram talking about makeup. She says, why can't I be on this Instagram talking about my music?
Right.
I was like, we just got to figure out how to feed it.
Right.
Right? When she felt what she dreamed of feeling as a result of the process, you can't tell her nothing.
Right.
The joy, the
It
strength.
goes back to authenticity.
And it goes back to...
You can't fake a real feeling. You can't fake like...
You can
an
digitally
authentic
download a
fucking-
record.
yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
download a feeling
Yeah.
or an
Emotions,
experience.
You either got somebody
The
who takes
Hollywood
you there,
Bowl.
voice takes
Yep.
you there, vision takes there. It doesn't, you know?
Harry Styles. I mean,
Come on.
love that guy. He
sugar
did that right. Exactly. There's evidence of it in their generation. We just have to show them the difference.
Yep.
Right.
That a Harry Styles has done the work. That's why you like him.
He's on fire.
Yeah, but that's why you like him. And he knows who people are.
Right.
Yeah.
I bumped into Harry Styles backstage when I was doing Katy
Yeah.
Perry. He knew. That makes a difference.
And that's the difference.
Cardi B makes a difference.
They know.
Committed.
Committed. Because this generation don't know. They don't do the homework. They don't study.
Oh, my God. Yo, it's the sickest thing. I'm not even going to put people on blast, man. I've sat down with
them on
actors.
blast. We're here at the Cray.
With actors in their 20s and, like, just go through, like, I'm working, I really want to act in this kind of movie or I want to do that. I'm like, did you ever see this? No. Do you know who this is?
No.
I'm like, bro, you need to go fucking do your homework.
Just watch me. Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's like, they could say all the guys from my generation, like, oh, he's a Scorsese ripoff. You know what I mean? It was like, well, yeah, we did our homework.
I want to end with this.
I want Laurieann to come back.
I want her to come back. I don't want her to stay. I don't want her to leave.
Josh.
I don't want to leave. Big shout out to
Josh. She's the fucking coolest, man, and she's so deep and so real.
I do have some gifts for you guys.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Thanks, Josh. This is Joshua Gibson Bascom in the building.
Sweet. If I read this, am I going to be a good dancer?
If you read this, if you read this, I don't want to tell you what's going to happen. I
got a flat head. I could do that better.
Oh my God.
That's why I always wear hats. You know, like part of the head's missing. Yeah.
Really?
No.
Okay.
So I'm really super proud of this. Dance your dance.
Amazing. Did you sign mine to me?
Unleash your passion and live your dream.
Yes.
And you know what? Amazing. This is for the young dreamer, honestly. And you can see, like, some of my artists have wrote such incredible things on the back.
Alicia Keys, Shawn Combs.
It really is quick 8 steps to remind you that your dance is like no one else's. It just isn't.
Yeah.
And how do you wake up when you face a world that says everything that you instinctually feel is not good enough?
Right.
That you're off rhythm, that your steps don't matter. I can speak to that. Because
I love you. You're inspiring as fuck. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Laurieann,
really
you're amazing. We're so thankful to have you here to hang out with us today.
What we've been
Magic
through.
got to come back again. Look at Magic.
Oh, we got
Magic napped throughout most of the interview.
Laurieann kicked me down on the ground once. Biggie, God bless dead Biggie. We had a rental car. We got in an argument. It was the weekend Biggie got killed.
Yes.
Puff, Biggie, everybody's outside. I'm trying to get the car back from Laurieann. Laurieann opens the door, karate chops me in my chest, and I just look back.
No, because I was dating Andre, who, by the way, we had to share a car.
We had to share a
How
car.
are you dating Andre? I know that's your nephew, but why are we sharing a car, you cheap? Rest in peace. Love you, AH. How does the girl not have her own car?
Are you going to come to the seance?
Yes, I'm coming to the party.
Okay, no, we're gonna do a we're gonna do
Andre's coming. Oh my God!
No, not today. Like we're doing it for the show.
Show up.
He will.
We're going to do a Cray seance and summon Andre Harrell at some point.
Yeah.
So you have to be there. You
gotta come back.
And you could tell him about that. You could tell him.
I just got chills. He's actually here.
Yeah.
Of course he's here, but we just
here
need
right now.
Yeah.
No, he's here, but we just need the medium to be able to decipher.
There's gonna be a medium.
Laurieann, thank you
Lies
so
and
much
fairy
for
tales.
joining
Okay,
us.
thank you, Rob. Oh, so good.
Bek Lover. Met this dude on Clubhouse. The short period of time I was on Clubhouse.
Okay.
I remember I was in my driveway one day. I was working out, like fucking lifting weights, and this guy comes in this Clubhouse room, starts breaking down religion. And there were a couple hundred people in there, and everybody just shut the fuck up. He really laid out. I'm like, this is a smart dude. Came out to L.A., came hanging with me and Shawn and the crew. I think he met you too.
Yep.
All of us had cigars. Fucking love him. Controversial figure. The unanointed king of Albanian nightlife.
Albanian nightlife.
Yes.
In New York.
King
Could you
of
give him
New
a
York
platform?
nightlife.
Give him a platform because he said that they've cut him off at the knees on his own platform for being controversial. I'm like, bro, give it to us. I now ate up 2 of your 10 minutes. You got 8 minutes to riff, and if it sucks, it'll be 2 minutes with Bek Lover. Let's see what you got, baby.
First and foremost, thanks for having me, guys. It's good to see you. I didn't get the fucking memo about the hats, I guess. You know. And I never understood why all the people that have hair wear hats, and the motherfuckers like us that don't have hats, don't have good hair.
I don't have hair.
I know, but you probably have a beautiful head.
No, yeah.
I look like somebody hit me in the fucking head with a sledgehammer. In any event, I'm back in LA a lot sooner than I thought and a lot sooner than I wanted to be. I thought New York was bad until I came here with this whole fucking, crazy pandemic that we're going through.
Yep.
I gave up gambling a long time ago, right? I learned very quickly I wasn't good at it. And I've seen a lot of fucking people go down, right? But now the government's forcing us to gamble with the most precious thing we got, our fucking children. Hey, let's give them a little bit of... Is my kid gonna get fucking swollen hard? Are they gonna fucking get a blood clot? Are they gonna fucking make it to fucking... So, we live in interesting times. Yeah. Interesting times indeed, my friend.
But what do you think for real? Like, I know you have thoughts on the vaccinations.
What did you
kids vaccine? Because I'll tell you something. I ran for the vaccine. I got the vaccine with him.
There's 3 groups. There's anti-vax. I don't believe in any vaccination. There's no logic to that, right? See, they're trying to group everybody in one group. No.
Yeah.
There's anti-vax, which I don't want nothing. I don't want to, polio shot, none of that stuff. Then you got your give me anything, just put it in me, fuck it, whatever happens, happens. Right? Those are very brave people. Right. I love them. And then there's the third group. I do believe in vaccination. I do have vaccines. I have all of them except for the flu shot. And I just don't feel comfortable with this one. So how the fuck does that make me an anti-vax? I don't like this one. I was there when it got hit. The aftermath was horrible, but New York was in much better shape than it's not. There's no people trying to compare we got through 9. Like, this is what has happened to New York City. And what I'm seeing has happened to your city. Because I was here before all this started, right? There's no correlation. Like, this is like some Twilight Zone shit, right? But for me, the aftermath after what happened there, right? 2 weeks later, I was at Pace University, right across the street from City Hall, 2 blocks from the World Trade Center. That's the one time I should have wore a mask.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I was young. I was stupid. My point here is this. I did get concerned. So eventually I ended up leading a walkout at the college. The whole college walked out. I said, this air is not safe for us. It's not safe to breathe. Make the story short, the EPA comes in. The president, his name was Caputo at the time. He was the president of Pace University. We all sit down and they all say, listen, we're testing the air. There's HEPA filters. You guys are safe. Do not worry about this. You guys are good. Well, what happened? Ladies and gentlemen, 10 years later, we weren't fucking good. So many people are getting fucking cancer, emphysema. We trusted the EPA. We trusted them with our health, right? You're safe to breathe this air. And it wasn't fucking safe. And now there's a multi-billion-dollar fund. But you think I give a fuck about... if you just lost your dad to cancer or your mom because she worked down there, she thought the air was safe. Do you really give a shit about this money? You can't put a price on your fucking family, man. You can't put a price on the people you love. People go, why don't you? Because they've already fucking fucked up in my life. Yeah. I already was exposed to something. God knows what's going to happen to me.
The kid thing is fucking... It's weird, man.
It's very weird.
So for me, it's weird. Like...
They're not... listen, I don't want any kids to get sick. Sick kids is probably the single scariest fucking thing for any human being to hear about. Particularly somebody who has a kid, they understand the depths of that, but I mean...
it's like once it's done, it's done. Like there's no...
going back.
So it's like...
it's just such a new vaccine. Like I said, I don't mind you experimenting on me a little bit. My body's been put through ringers. I drank for fucking 25 years, so...
Yeah.
I mean, not like an animal, but I drank enough, put enough toxins and poisons in my body that I'd be really standing on some kind of fucking high soapbox to be like, I'm not taking that. I'm like...
I'm pure.
Yeah.
I just feel weird about kids. I have a 5-year-old and a 4-month-old, and my 4-month-old, she came early. And so the doctors told us at some point we would have to give her blood. So they tested her blood, and when it came back, our blood was a match. And so I went to the blood bank at Cedars. I gave blood. Then they got a letter saying that I couldn't give her blood because I had the vaccine in my blood.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And and I couldn't give my kid blood, so we had to take blood.
Now they're talking about giving the vaccine to kids.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
My whole thing is this, brother. My son's school, I can show you guys the email if you want, or you can screenshot it. 95% staff, 85% of the student body has the jab. They're masked. They're still having outbreaks. My son is not. I'm not making this shit up. The kids that had it, they were. So that's not the answer either, obviously. It's not stopping it from happening. Right. So why does there have to be this force? That's the whole thing. If it's not... Listen,
it's not going to cure it.
I'll be the first dude. Listen, I knew when I took a fucking polio shot, I could jump into a fucking pool full of polio. I ain't getting it. It's a little bit different, man.
Right.
Yeah. So if this shit eradicated...
This is like a flu vaccine. You can still get a different strain of
the flu. If it eradicated it, I'd be like, all right, you know what? You have some leg to stand on where you can say everyone's got to do it.
Bro, they bait and switched 100%. I'm not anti-government and I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
No.
But when you say, hey, if we get to 70% vaccinations, we're going to have herd immunity, the virus is going to go away. Right. And it never went away. So because the virus...
So you lose everyone's trust by doing that, and then you can't, now you're making it worse.
All right. Everybody, go follow Bek Lover on Instagram.
Bek Lover NYC, because I'm censored. Before I used to type in BEK.
Where you going? Dallas, Miami? Where you heading?
I'm actually going to head back to New York for because we have some big events. I haven't been at the rooftop over there. Shout out to Somewhere Nowhere, the highest elevated rooftop in New York City. When you guys come, we make it fucking... But everyone knows you start your night and you end your night at Bathtub Gym. But shout out to the Bat Gym fan. That's the fucking greatest fucking place. But I love that fucking...